Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today for another card making tutorial. We're doing something really super simple today, featuring some embossing folders, or a embossing folder I should say. Don't use them a lot, but I was looking to show you another quick and easy card because sometimes, you know, everyone's just starting out or hasn't got many supplies. They just like to show some simple things for everyone to have a go at, and this is what I've got today. So like I say, we're going to do use some embossing folders. Okay, so this uses Petal Pink. I've used Petal Pink ink, card base, a bit of blending around the back, around the edge of the embossing folder there as well. And this is some retiring ribbon. I still have some, haven't checked if it's still available, but if it is, it'll be linked in the description below. But the embossing folder and the dies are carryovers. So this is the Parisian Beauty embossing folder, or Parisian Flourish I think it's actually called, and the Stitch So Sweetly dies, which I was very thrilled to see we're carrying over. Okay, so we are doing a different colour. I'm going to use Mint Macaron as my base colour, and I've got a panel in Very Vanilla, a couple of scraps there to do stamping and embossing and stuff, die cutting, that's the word. Okay, we don't have any Mint Macaron ribbon, or at least I don't anyway. So we're going to use this white seam binding and colour it ourselves to coordinate with the project. So this is really good to have in your stash. It's a nice width, nice drape to it, and because it's white we can colourate whatever colour we want. So we're going to start off with the embossing then onto this piece of vanilla cardstock. So this is the embossing folder. Got the logo on the front. We've got a hinged portion there, so when you put it through your machine you need to put it in hinge first. So this is a 6x6 folder, and I'm just sort of lining that up so that it looks like it's kind of even and kind of straight in the folder. Because it's a 3D embossing folder, we need to use our the correct sandwich. So we need a base platform. So it all says so on the front of the on the machine itself. So with 3D embossing folders, I need my base platform and I need my number 4 plate. So that's this one. Okay, and they're all numbered up so you know exactly which ones you're supposed to be using. So that's all we need to do, sandwich those two together and run that through the machine. Really nice and easy to do, not a whole heap of resistance. There was a little bit because that's the purpose of it, to apply that pressure, but it's really easy to do. And when you take it out, you've got this wonderful embossed piece of card. Is that not absolutely stunning? Absolutely marvellous. Okay, just going to bring back my die cutting bits for the later step. That's what you're hearing there. So we're going to apply just a bit of ink to the edges of this. So I've just got some scrap paper that as you can see, I've used it a fair bit for various blending and stuff like that to protect my surface. Grab the coordinating Mint Macaron ink and get that open, and I'm going to grab a brush. I found these this wonderful thing on Amazon which is for makeup brushes and stuff, and yeah, I found it and it's brilliant for the blending of brushes. So I'm just going to ink that up. I'm going to go in from the corner and to the middle. So it's going to be a stronger colour in the corner than it is in the centre. I'm going to do that on each of the corners. So go steady, in from the corner You can always add more ink if you want it a little bit more intense. So start light and add it as you want. I just want a bit of a hint of that background colour just coming into my design. Okay, sort of making a bit of a halo in the middle really. But I think it just adds a real nice level of detail to that panel without doing a whole heap of extra work really. Just a bit of ink. Totally optional, you don't have to do it at all, but I just thought it was really nice touch to add to that. So the next thing to do is to get our ribbon ready, because we need to wrap that round the card and tie a bow. So I'm just trying to find another piece of paper that's a bit thicker. There we go, that'll do. I've got some old grid paper there that's a little bit longer. So a couple of lengths of this, because we're going to be doing our bow as well. So I've got the mint macaron blends marker. Could keep it white if you wanted to, and say instead of using vanilla, use the white cardstock, and then it would go. So all these things are totally optional. You can I'm just showing you an idea on how you can use your products. And this is the colourway I've chosen. I think it looks nice in the more muted tones. Was thinking about doing pool party as well, but ended up with the mint macaron. And you know what, mint macaron was so not my favourite colour. It was an in colour at some point when I was a demonstrator. So within the last 5 years it's been an in colour. So was Flirty Flamingo and Blackberry Bliss, so I liked those two colours. I was very pleased to see those come back. And, then, and I believe Poppy Parade was as well, but it was one from before my time as a demonstrator. But mint macaron was one. I can't remember what else it was with, but I really didn't like it. And when they said it was coming back, I thought, not so much of a fan. But actually, it's really good. In fact, you know what? It might have been with Blackberry Bliss, and yeah. Anyway, it's a returning in colour anyway. So I'm actually starting to like it a bit more. It's funny how your tastes change as your skills change as well. Okay, so we're going to secure a piece of that ribbon around the middle of the card. It doesn't matter which one I pick actually. And I discovered something which may help you. So I'm just gonna, that's just helping me keep it in place really. It's not there for any other purpose other than that. Before I tack it on though, I'm going to twist it, and you'll see why that's cool in a bit. So that's way too long, so let's just lock a bit of that off. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that as it is with a twist in it, and then we're going to carefully apply some more adhesive on the back of this. I say go careful because the raised surface can sometimes pull up a little bit with the tape runners. I'm a tape runner girl. If you want to use wet glue, use wet glue if that's your preference, but it will go with the tape runner if that's what you want to use. Just go steady, and we'll get that onto that macaron card base. Also just be mindful that when you've got, particularly with 3D ones where they're very deep embossing, your layer might sort of shrink a bit and not turn out to be the size, because if you can imagine that it's trying to take up extra space, so it contracts a little. So that's just something to bear in mind, because that looks like it's shrunk that way but not so much that way. But it's fine. It's totally workable. All right, so that's our base done. Okay, we'll come back to the rest of the ribbon and stuff in a minute. So I'm going to bring in my favouriteest dies in the whole entire world. I've got them on this magnetic sheet so that I can just grab them quickly out of my drawer. I need to cut this twice, so I'm doing it once in vellum. So I've got a scrap here that's literally just about big enough. If you have a mini machine, these dies fit through the mini machine, just so that you know. So we're just going to whiz that through with the vellum. Could colour the vellum actually. Shall we do that just for something, just for another spin on things? We'll do that. And in fact, if I do it now, it can be drying while we do the other bits and pieces. So I'm just going to use that marker again and put some colour on it. It's going to be super subtle, but might make all the difference. I'm just going over that with the Stampin' Blends marker. And say it can dry while we're doing our other bits and pieces. Okay, so it has taken on some colour. So if we compare it to its original, there is a different sheen to it. So there you go. That's going to not take long to dry, but I just want it to be fully dry before we mess about with it. We'll come back to this piece of vanilla, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment from the brush blooms. This is a retiring set, but I really like this friendship sentiment, so I've pulled that out to use. Light tapping on your ink pad. I twist it around a bit because I never know, you don't know just by looking necessarily whether there's any dry parts in your ink pad, and because we tend to go into the middle, that's where there's going to be less ink in theory. So if you kind of try and tap around the edges and twist it around a bit, it sort of spreads the ink out and just make sure you get a nice coating of ink on your stamp. Press down firmly, hold it for a second, lift it up. Perfect. Okay, and just make sure you're using a block that's appropriate for the stamp that you are using. So we just want to line that up as centrally as you want, and we'll just put that in place with some low tack tape. We are hoping that we'll get a magnetic platform for the cut and emboss at some point. We did have one, but unfortunately it just they were having some quality issues with it, so they actually made it unorderable. What is that the right word? Unorderable, unavailable to order. I think this is what the English would say. So Stampin' Up is really great in that regard. If they think a product isn't performing, they just won't sell it. Simple as. Okay, which is what happened with Purple Posy. If you've been around that long, they weren't happy with the quality, so they weren't going to sell it to their customers. We're going to slice this die in half. Now, you could quite easily do this with some long scissors, but I'm just going to show you that you can do it with your trimmer. So I'm just lining that up in the middle of there. So if you want to use your trimmer, you can. Or you could just use a pair of scissors, but you just get a nice clean cut if you use a trimmer. So we're going to just add some adhesive onto the back of here. You've seen me do this with punches before. Wet glue would be a good idea in terms of you've just got that bit of wriggle room. Vellum doesn't really like being wet, really, to be honest. It kind of crinkles and warps with too much moisture. So just opted for that. The alcohol ink, you see, would just evaporate off, and it hasn't warped it at all. Okay, so that addition of colour, oh, it does make a difference, you know. It's subtle, but it does make a difference. Okay, so we're making this flat, but it's going to crisscross over there. Okay, so that's going to go on like that. So I want some dimensionals, or some pieces of dimensional will do actually. I've got a little strip there. Let's cut another little strip from the edge to do that. So don't waste those. They're great little pieces to add to your to the back of your sentiments and things. Very good. We don't want it showing over the vellum though, so make sure it's over the cardstock. Okay, and I'm going to help that stick with a bit of wet glue over the back as well. Because we've got a textured surface, we just want to make sure that that's going to be completely secure. Okay, so I'm just leaving that flat there, and then putting that into position, and we'll just hold that down just for a couple of seconds. So just give it a chance to adhere to that surface. So there we are. So you can see we're getting there. Oh, excuse me. Chew, bless me. Okay, so we're going to do our little bow with this ribbon, and of course I've left it a little bit on the short side. So I do the bunny ear method. And around, there we go, that's it. It is really delicate ribbon, this is, so you want to pull that nice and tight. Once you've got the size right that you want, I don't want this one to be too big, you see. So just keep pulling and tightening, and then one final pull to tighten everything up. And glue dot is the best way to get a ribbon to stick, or a bow to stick. And this crisscross here is going to give you the illusion that you've actually tied it on the because it's going to be narrower, so it's going to fold in behind. If you just stick it over a flat ribbon, it can look a bit odd. Just find my scissors, and we're just going to cut those off like that, and there we are. That is it, done. I'm not going to add any pearls or rhinestones. You could, of course, if you wanted to. Where's my sample? There it is. Okay, really cute, love it. So just having that bit of colour brought in onto the vanilla just ties the whole thing together. I really like the green one. I really like it. I say, was never my favourite colour when it was here, but I really like it now. Super duper. Hope you've enjoyed that, and it's given you some ideas. So I've used die cuts here, but you could have quite easily have used punches if that's what you've got available and you don't have a die cut machine. But I do love the embossing machine, the embossing folders. So those you do have to have a emboss machine, cut and emboss machine for. Okay, hope that's been helpful. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Enjoy your week, your day, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.